Coming to you live for the Built Ford Top Studio. Boomer Esiason, Greg Giannotti. It's Boomer and Gio on the Fan. Simulcast across the country on CBS Sports Network. And wherever you are in the free Odyssey app. Good Wednesday morning. I never thought we were waiting for Aaron Rodgers as long as we were with the Jets. So just a couple years later, we'd be sitting here waiting for Aaron Rodgers to make a decision and it involving the New York Giants. But here we are, one big quarterback move, and yes, it was big in the sense of where everybody else was going to go, is that Daniel Jones came off the board. I know that it's funny to say that, but people were waiting to see where he was going to go. So he goes to the Indianapolis Colts. Now I'm thinking after that we're going to see bing, bang, boom. We are not. Aaron Rodgers takes his time. So the Steelers we know are still involved. The Giants we know are still involved. Are the Minnesota Vikings involved? There's conflicting reports there. But here we are again in a holding pattern on the tarmac with Aaron Rodgers being the person who is in control. Good morning, Boomer. How are you?
Good morning. I wish I were 20 years younger, demanding $40 million a year.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's basically what it's going to take, at least that. I mean, when you think about all the other quarterbacks in the league that are making $40 or more million, and you know that the Giants and the Raiders went up to $100 million from Matthew Stafford, I can understand why, if in fact all the reports are true, that Aaron Rodgers would want that much money. I'd want that much money too. I mean, like, hell, you got to get what you can get, and every player has got to go through, their mental gymnastics to figure out which team is best for him and how much money they're willing to pay. I will say this, that your team, the Minnesota Vikings, is building one hell of a team via free agency. And I don't believe that Kevin O'Connell is just going to hand the reins over to J.J. McCarthy. At this moment, it looks that way, but I just can't believe that they're not going to bring somebody else in, especially after losing Daniel Jones. Not that Daniel Jones would have been the answer out there, but they're going to have to do something now because Daniel decided to go to the Colts and fight it out with Anthony Richardson. He probably feels like he has a better chance to start there. And maybe internally when he was at Minnesota, he saw and heard exactly what the expectations were for J.J. McCarthy, and that's why he left. I would say now for Aaron Rodgers, it's one of three teams, and if it comes down to money, then I think, to me, if I were him, I'd try to go to Minnesota. If secondly, I would try to go to Pittsburgh, and then third, I would go to the Giants. That would be the third team on the list, and unfortunately for the Giants, I mean, they just get left at the altar left and right, and it may end up being Russell Wilson.
Well, I do think that if Aaron Rodgers is sticking to the money side of this more than I want to end my career winning, which I thought he would want to end his career winning, then he's going to take the Giants' money if the Giants are going to offer more, because there is no way that the Minnesota Vikings, with what they did in free agency yesterday, are going to pay Aaron Rodgers $40 million a year. The whole point that they wanted to do was to draft this guy number 10 overall and J.J. McCarthy, have him on a rookie contract. They don't have a lot of draft picks this year, and build the team through free agency. So they could have dealt with Daniel Jones at $14 million, maybe being the starter for a couple games or the backup. But their plan does not include, this is why Sam Darnold is on the Seahawks, a guy who's asking for $40 million. Now, the Giants, because they have been left at the altar and have a ton of cap space, and the cap went up, and they got a desperate team, and meaning the ownership, the GM, and the coach, they might be the only team that offers Aaron Rodgers $40 million.
Right, but I also think that Pittsburgh's in the same boat in terms of their coaching staff.
Man.
I'm telling you, I know it's hard to
but
believe
they don't
that.
they would never give him that money.
Well, listen, they just gave $150 million to DK Metcalf.
Yeah, but he's a young wide receiver.
And here's the other thing. They are in the AFC North. Now, I know Deshaun Watson's not playing, but he got $230 million guaranteed. They got Joe Burrow in there, $250 million. They got Lamar Jackson in there, $250 million. I mean, you're not going to get a bargain basement quarterback to go into that division and win it. I mean, if you really want to win and you think the best opportunity for you, and they have nobody else on the roster right now, by the way. Now, they can still run it back with Russell Wilson, and I'm sure Russell Wilson's looking for a hefty raise from somebody because he's going to want to be a starting quarterback. He is a Super Bowl winner. He may end up going to the Hall of Fame. These guys are not like I think the idea was that Pittsburgh was going to be able to do what they did last year. We're going to bring Justin Fields in. We're going to bring in Russell Wilson, and I forget who else they had on that roster. And we're going to basically pay our quarterback position nothing. And we're going to try to see if we can win with the roster that we have. Well, now at least they went out there and got that big wide receiver. Now, if they really want to truly win and they want a guy like Aaron Rodgers to come play for him, he's not coming for nothing. He's just not. Even though he's guaranteed $75 million by the Jets, that will be all paid out. And the Jets do have a pretty nice dead cap hit because of it. I mean, they're going to have to pay. They're going to have to pay either him or Russell Wilson a significant more amount of money than they paid last year.
So if Aaron Rodgers, you think that fair market value, and Mike Florio says the same thing, is $40 million
if I'm Aaron Rodgers, yes.
Okay, so what do you think, Russell Wilson? Same thing?
I would think somewhere, I would say somewhere around $35 million, $30 to $35 million at minimum, I would think. But then again, it's like these teams are desperate. You have to understand they are desperate.
The Giants definitely are desperate.
So, and if the Giants, if they go and draft one of these quarterbacks at number 3, great. They're going to throw him out there, and then what?
Yeah, I don't think that. Then those guys will probably get fired if that quarterback isn't Jaden Daniels. I don't, man. All right, so the Steelers, to me, because they did the DK Metcalf thing, doesn't mean that they have completely changed their organizational philosophy, and then now they're going to come in. No, I don't know what you're scoffing at. Their organizational philosophy is to not pay guys who are 41 years old $40 million a year.
I know that, but
They've never done something like that.
What is the alternative? Is it Carson Wentz? Is it Gardner Minshew? Is it Jimmy Garoppolo?
I think it's bringing back Russell Wilson, and I don't think he gets as much as
30 million.
No. I think it'd be less than that. I can't see how the market. I just can't see how they're going to get that much. I just don't.
Because it's DK Metcalf and because he and Russell Wilson do have a relationship on the field, I could see that. I'm not saying I can't see that. I'm just, why the hell are the Steelers going to get wide receivers? Why? Because DeAndre Hopkins is now going to Baltimore. I don't know really how much he has left, but when you look at the other teams in this division, especially the Bengals, who are going to have the greatest show on turf again, I don't. Why would you sign wide receivers if you don't have a quarterback that can get, get them the ball?
That they probably thought that they would get Aaron Rodgers and Russell Wilson for cheaper. That's what I think that they thought, and they still may if that number comes down if no one else wants them. So the teams that are still looking for quarterbacks are who? Are the Titans involved right now? I don't know. Are they? It doesn't sound like it. I told you the Vikings, there's no way they're paying Aaron Rodgers $40 million a year. I would be absolutely floored if that were the case. And then, so you got the Giants, you got the Steelers. So both of those are the two desperate teams right now for different reasons.
Well, all I know is that both coaching staffs are in the same situation. I think this could be the end of Mike Tomlin if they have a losing record. I mean, I know it's hard to even fathom that, and he will be a very hot commodity on the open market. There's no question about it. But I just can't fathom them going into the season with a very mediocre quarterback situation after spending all this money on DK Metcalf, who's going to look great in a
who's going to
look great in a Pittsburgh uniform.
Well, it's going to be a mediocre quarterback situation no matter where they go, in my opinion, because it'll be Russell Wilson, Aaron Rodgers, who I don't know why all of a sudden everybody thinks that this guy could still do it after a couple of good games last year. That's it.
I did a Sports Minute on Aaron Rodgers and his injuries last year. And the injury that I was really specifically talking about was the Achilles injury and how long it really truly takes to get back from that injury. And it usually is over a year. And he is now a year removed from it. I'm sure he's probably in better shape. He's got a lot to prove if he wants to continue to play. I would think, to me, somehow trying to get to Minnesota would be the thing, but then it would be Pittsburgh, then it would be the Giants. I mean, and that's just the way it is unless the Giants are going to pay significantly more money.
Yeah,
or they're the only ones that really, truly want them.
I think it was really Florio who put this out there with the $40 million a year. Has said it was an educated guess, meaning that he at least has someone or an agent or somebody that's talking to him about this. But Aaron Rodgers, there is a history, and I don't think he'll do it twice, but there is a history of him taking less money. Like, he ended up taking less money and taking a pay cut to come to the Jets because he thought that was the right situation.
And he also blew his an Achilles out. I mean, it's
like what I'm saying though is he got every cent of that.
I know that, but it's not like he didn't do anything. He blew his Achilles out, And, the other thing, too, is...
Well, that's not what I'm saying. The point that I'm saying is he did once before take less money to go to a situation where he thought it was right. So maybe he does that again with these two other teams that he thinks are better options than the Giants. Or the Giants say, hey, we're going to be the only team that gives you $40 million over the next 2 years. And he says, hell, I'm going to do that because no one else is going to give it to me.
Hey, if the Giants are willing to go $100 million with Matthew Stafford, I mean, I don't understand. You could still go $40 million and you grab one of these quarterbacks, and you have an opt out for next year. That's basically the way you got to do it. And then you got to hope this quarterback that you draft is the guy that's going to actually take you to the next level, and you better hope that Aaron Rodgers takes you to the playoffs. Oh, I mean, look, they are. How many times we talked about this after the combine? Many people at the combine were talking about how the Giants, including, I guess, specifically Joe Shane, was saying, we're just a quarterback away. We're just a quarterback away. We just got to find the right guy. Okay. You got a very short period of time to find that right guy.
Yeah, I mean,
and if it's going to be a rookie, then forget it.
Well, yeah, I mean, everybody's a quarterback away if that quarterback turns out to be Patrick Mahomes or Jaden Daniels or, you go back to Peyton Manning on and on and on. Everybody's a quarterback away.
Peyton Manning and Joe Burrow, you look at their first years, they were horrendous. Troy Aikman was horrendous his rookie year. I mean, those guys, Troy Aikman, I think, was 1-15 his rookie year.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you're asking a lot. I mean, to have a guy like C.J. Stroud or Jaden Daniels do what they did their rookie years, man, that is an outlier. There is so much struggle. And these two kids that are at the top of this draft, supposedly, while they may end up turning out to be good players, they don't have, I guess Shador, because of the offense that he ran in Colorado, and because, it was a pro-style offense, maybe he has a little bit of a head start on Cam Ward in that regard. But you put him out there against that Philadelphia defense, whatever it's going to look like, or that any of these defenses, the Washington defense, where they're moving everybody around, I mean, his head's going to be spinning, and that's just normal. That's normal for everybody that plays the position.
Well, I think that the Giants are going to end up with one of the two guys, and the Steelers are going to end up with one of the two guys, and where those numbers are still remains to be seen. But
when you say one of the two guys,
Russell Wilson and Aaron Rodgers, that's what's going to happen as far as the veteran goes. And then the Steelers aren't going to draft a quarterback, I don't think. Maybe later on, we'll see. They could actually. Now that I'm thinking about it, but yeah, I think that's where I think both teams know that they have to have veterans, and one's going to end up with one, and the other one's going to end up with the other. And if they, depending on how desperate they really feel they need to be, they may have to go to numbers they're uncomfortable with, but. I just that's the way it has to go, right?
Well, here you go. You got Trey Lance, Taylor Heineke, Marcus Mariota, Drew Lock, Joe Flacco, Jameis Winston, Mac Jones, Carson Wentz, Case Keenum, Mason
Rudolph.
Rudolph.
All slop. We don't have to read all their names. They're all terrible. They all suck.
Yeah, I'm just telling you,
yeah.
this is where it is right now.
Well, yeah. But those two guys, we got two teams with two quarterbacks out there that they're going to end up on one of these two teams. No.
And by the way, today is the first day of the new league year for the NFL. So happy
new league year.
Happy new league year.
Yes. I left a bouquet of flowers on your desk for that.
Oh, you did?
I do that every year. Yes.
Well, that's
new league year flowers. That's what I do.
That is awesome.
Yes. Yep. It just brightens it up. It's springtime. That's the way it feels.
Somebody did something with the blanket in my office. Like they put it over the back of my couch and laid it out somehow. I don't know if somebody stayed in there or...
Jerry did recently.
Oh, he did?
Yeah, he slept in there one of the days you were out.
I didn't know that, so he did it.
Had to have been. Yeah, it had to have been.
I did not know he slept in there.
Yeah, no,
and he's more than welcome.
No, yeah, I mean, he's got a key for that exact reason. You gave him a key. He had to sleep in there. So
100%.
No one was in there messing with your stuff. It was just Jerry who had to sleep in there.
He did a nice job of putting it back together. He actually did a really nice job.
I mean, he's an adult and he's a respectful man.
So he's at the Big Ten tournament now.
Yeah, he's out in Indianapolis.
So they made it. Who are they playing?
USC. Got thoughts on that? Because I don't.
No, not really.
They got USC. And then, Eddie, if they win that game, they play Purdue.
Correct.
Yeah, that's what Eddie likes to say. Purdue.
Purdue.
So, that's where they're at right now. So, and I believe they beat USC twice already this year. Once. They beat them once. Okay.
There you go.
So there you
go. We're all over it.
Well, not really.
I mean, we're more Maryland and St. John's right now.
Sure, that is correct. But I do follow Jerry Recco and Rutgers, and and what's going on there.
Well, this is where they have to make hay, as they say, today.
Well, yeah, I mean, today and then the next game and the next game.
But
and
today
the next
you got to worry about today. What's right in front of you? What time do they play?
I want to say 8:30.
Yeah, they're the latest game in the
because they're the biggest market, two biggest markets.
I can't believe I had that many answers on Rutgers basketball just then. When they're playing, who they play next. I don't know how.
You know what that
That
is?
fell into my lap somehow and in my brain.
That's super prep. Because you knew we were going to talk football. You know we're going to end up talking baseball.
Yeah.
And then you just did a little super prep for the NCAA tournament. Now, this is the obviously the conference tournaments.
Yeah. I just think I was more concerned about what Jerry was doing and where he was going, I think, that led me to those facts. Not so much about Rutgers basketball, but we'll see. Hopefully they win one game at least, and then this whole Ace Bailey, Dylan Harper thing didn't exactly work out for them.
That's exactly right. That's why I said
Make hay
as they play today.
Boomer and Gio on the Fan and CBS Sports Network. Because Jerry's out in Indianapolis, we've got CeeLo with us today, just getting started on this Wednesday morning. Hopefully some NFL news as we do the show today, but keep it locked to WFAN all day because there will be some breaking news, I'm sure.